This conference will now be recorded.
Town Heights Grove Plan Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall at 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. We have a quorum present. I'll call the meeting to order. You have the minutes of the March 20th meeting in your packet.
I found something on it, but I didn't. After rereading it 2 times, I figured my interpretation was incorrect. I think they're okay. I'll move to approve.
Motion by Mule, is there a second?
Second.
A second by Myler to approve the minutes for March 20th as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion carried. Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Anyone online for public concerns? Okay. Moving on, we have Mary Wick as the petitioner. Mary Wick and James Schmidt property owners wanting to consolidate a 2.60 acre, a 3.48 acre, and a 0.49 acre into a single 6.5 acre lot zoned RR4 to allow for requirements for solar panel installation and to square off lot with the adjacent farmland. Hello.
That'd be us. Hi, I don't know if you have maps or not,
Yeah.
but I brought, you do?
We
Okay,
do.
I brought you one each too. Alrighty, so yeah, what we want to do is, there was a tobacco shed on that little parcel in the northeast corner of our lot. The Olsons took that down before it would fall down. And so to square off that lot line, we offered to buy that from him because he's just left it in leaves anyway. And that's farmland preservation. So we would have to change that to RR2 to add it to lot 3. But then we want to combine all lots 2 and 3 and that extra parcel into one lot so we can do solar. Alliant Energy will not allow you to do solar panels, ground installation on a lot different from the house that it's going to serve. So it has to be on one lot. Apparently, We Energy and MG&E and everybody else will allow it, but not Alliant, and that's what we've got. And we don't want to cut down trees to put the solar installation on the same lot as the house. So it just makes sense to do it on the empty lot. And to do that, we have to combine them all. So that's what we're asking for.
So you're combining this lot, and this lot
Yeah.
into one lot.
One piece, yeah.
And just curious, where your solar going to go?
I'll point to you. The house is here. Wait, I'm looking upside down. The house is right in here. Because we've got all trees in here.
Mm-hmm.
The house is here. We've got all trees here. And there's trees here, but there's nothing, well, there's one tree there. That
Okay. Just curious.
yeah.
So look at the screen, is it about where I'm circling?
Oh,
Where it doesn't show up?
yeah,
It's not showing up.
no,
So
it's like right here.
Right in here.
Yeah, right in.
So the new lot would be zoned RR4. It would not change the zoning on the FP 35.
But you would,
No, it'll all be
the
RR4.
whole thing
All be
would be RR4. Yeah, you'd have to change that to add it.
So the two lots now are each RR2, but then they're adding half an acre from Olson's that is ag. And when you put those all together, you'll have a RR4.
Because it's too many acres to have RR2.
So does Olson's remaining property still 35 acres or more?
Yeah, because it's multiple parcels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got lots over there.
Questions?
I remember when, years ago, when Vinnie's were looking at doing some stuff at the old residence, and there was a chunk that he carved out so that he could take it off of the old farm where the house was in the other area. Dane County wouldn't allow them to reattach it to the farmland and the old next to it. Same thing with, I think, over at the old Hoggy. Am I correct in that? That's what I remember. It was deed restricted. We couldn't do anything with it, but it was a separate parcel. Once the parcel was made, we would reattach.
Well, we've talked to Dane County,
Okay.
Roger,
Yeah.
and
Roger
he
Lane.
says it's a no-brainer because you're just straightening out that land for the farmer because he's not going to plant his rows like this, you know.
Right.
And so he said it wouldn't be any problem.
That's, to straighten it out, that's fine.
Yeah.
But attaching all the parcels together to make one big parcel.
Yeah.
That's,
See,
He
the
said-
FP, that little part with the shed,
yep.
FP 35, it's non-conforming right now anyway. so
No,
it can't-
it's part of a bigger
part of a
parcel.
Bigger lot.
So this is just taking that half of acre off of a larger, it's a bigger parcel that's got a weird jog in it. So
Yeah.
this is just taking that half a acre, with
I
the
just
jog in
happen to
it
have
off
this.
of the big farm field and putting it with theirs.
Here's the map of Olson's property.
Oh, the
It's
whole,
not,
And that's the job.
it's not a separate piece now. It's just making that a separate.
Yeah. Said that sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I have had the same communication from Roger about this, by the way. So
Yeah, and I've got all the emails.
I've seen the same communication from Roger Lane about this, and they don't have a problem with it.
Then you've got no problem
No,
putting everything together in one.
no.
That's sure two parcels.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's long there. It's all part of that parcel. Yeah.
Here, did you want to look at this?
Sure.
This is what Olson's own now,
Yeah.
and here's the job
Yep.
that we want to buy, so we're going to go straight back there.
Yeah.
And this is our house, and then this is the extra lot that we have, so we want to make this all fit, so we can put the solar right there.
And they won't allow you, you want to make this one, and that one all together.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, yeah, because we'd have to cut down too many trees to do solar on that lot, and that's where the house is.
And Alliance will not allow you to put solar here because the house sits there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have an email from Alliance stating that.
Any questions or comments? Do we have any action?
I'll move approval of the request to combine the half acre FP 35, which is the lot, the unnamed lot, I guess.
Yeah.
With lot 3 and lot 2 to combine to make a total
6.5.
6.5. Okay.
And RR4.
That is RR4.
Motion by Anders. Is there a second? Second by Bannigan. Motion was to combine lot 1, 2, and
No, that's
No,
2 and
or-
3.
2 and 3 with the 0.49 acre Olson piece squaring off the lot lines, making it a 6.5 acre parcel zoned RR4. Any discussion on that motion?
Do you need to add anything to the reason why we're combining them, or just, that's it? Just the reason for adding solar? Or do you get?
If you want to, that's fine. I mean,
In the application.
Okay with the second?
Yes.
To add that the reason is to be able to add the solar
And square it off.
and square it off and to be able to add the solar.
Thank you.
There's no other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now the town board will take this up on May 6th.
Right. Yeah, and then we're on the agenda already for June and income.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is John and Tony Scala, petitioners Ben and Gwen Streck, property owners to divide parcel at 2546 Gaston Road, which is 2.56 acres zoned RR2 into two lots, one to be 1.83 acres zoned RR1 with the existing home and a new SFR 08 lots zone, zone 0.73 acres for a new home. Come on up. Hi there. Go ahead.
No real presentation. There's a parcel that we want to cut off a chunk to put our new house on. My daughter is the current property owner. Ben and Gwen Streck.
And so this is the new piece that you're creating.
Yeah, it's in the southwestern corner.
And so will the shed disappear?
Part of it will disappear. We've got to pursue a raising permit. But first, we're gonna, one step at a time, I guess.
I was gonna say is the tobacco shed that I've grown up with over the last 40 years is not gonna be there anymore.
Hospital.
Huh?
No, you don't have to go that way.
No,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
no, it's just kind of a landmark, actually.
Well, and we do agree, so the new home will look like the tobacco shed, only single story, same color. It'll take the exact same footprint as the tobacco barn. Because we kind of feel the same, we've been here for over 20 years and, but right now it's home to a lot of riffraff, a lot of animals, yeah.
Humans.
And it's,
No squatters.
it's kind of seeing
Not
its
yet.
days, so. Yeah, but we agree about the landmark, so that's why we want to keep the look of the property.
And is there room then for your septic for the new?
Yes.
Yeah, was there part?
The septic will be in the upper right-hand corner of the lot. Meinholz Excavating, we've already had soil borings and testing done. It'll be at grade system.
And then a new well somewhere
Yeah, the new well will be to the east,
south?
right in the middle of the property. Yeah, right on the east.
East side of
Side
the
of the
tobacco
building.
shed.
Inside of the house.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right next to the shed. That's this stuff here, right?
Questions?
What about the line of sight? that we got?
There's kind of that too, but they had it all surveyed and that it's all approved by the county.
First
Line
Engineering,
of sight for a driveway and stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a driveway there for,
Yeah.
no,
So we're talking about the second driveway.
no, I mean, there's a driveway coming off of the shed though.
There is, and we hired Burst Engineering to do the whole feasibility study up the hill. So there should be 3 or 4 pages of their workings on the degree and the
Looks like
safety
it's
of
gonna
a
be kind of
drive.
Marginal, but it passed their.
It
their
did, they gave us,
calculations.
I think they gave us 40 feet up and down
Yeah.
Gaston where the drive could start.
Right.
They don't have
It's
to do a
marginal.
driveway permit then.
Assuming that everybody drives the speed limit.
Well, they all do on Gaston Road, come on.
Well, that's part of it. It's a safety factor.
Well, that was, so I went out there today and looked at it, went through Gaston Circle. I thought, in the event that it wouldn't work out, they'd have to reconfigure the lot, but they could, it'd be a hill to get to Gaston Circle, but you could pull a driveway there. couldn't you?
Lot line won't go up
No.
It's
past.
quite a steep grade. It's, I would say 45 to 60% grade for that hill.
Actually, before you guys bought the property,
Yeah,
before
it's
you
pretty
built
steep.
your current house, when you were still up in the circle yet, somebody else had actually came before the town to try and develop that parcel with an exit up to Gaston Circle.
That's a
and
pretty steep hill. if I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, they just, it wouldn't work.
Wouldn't want to walk it.
When we were
Not let you.
developing the property, we had a architect that said, oh, we can hide all of your features and put your drive up this way. And he said, we prefer not to do that.
Oh, going up.
And that is a little library, and a couple neighbors like to forage that corner. So that whole little section up at the top of the hill, we kind of like to leave for the neighborhood, for the library, and for some of the foraging of the berries and some of the plants there.
If they don't like the way it works, they can always just do right turns out of the driveway. Turn around the top of the hill.
Where's the driveway gonna come off of the house? Is it gonna come off the front or we have room to?
There is an existing driveway, auxiliary driveway there now. We're just gonna use the same driveway.
It is down here.
Yeah.
Like Steve said, it's been there. I mean, that doesn't get used very much, I'm
We
assuming.
use it every day, really.
Oh,
So
you do?
you'll see a drive
This.
marks there.
It's not that horrible with cars coming over the
And
hill.
then will the new house be attached to
I
this?
mean,
No.
to me, if you just keep the driveway as far down the hill as you can, and
We have to apply for a conditional use permit, Chris.
The fire,
What?
the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So what's
Yeah,
the
the
big
drive,
picture? Is that they're gonna leave a portion of the shed.
Drive
and
would
build
be-
a detached house?
edge of the new lot.
We have to apply for a conditional use permit for that. So if it doesn't work,
10 feet
we'll take it down.
spacing between the house and the old shack.
There's a lean-to shed. We have to be built at least 10 feet away from the lean-to sheds. So we'd like to apply for a conditional use permit, but we didn't want to do it
Minimum
until,
on each side. Side yard.
yeah, I'm not sure what the terminology would be, so. But if it has to come down, it can. We just,
To build too close to the shed, that wouldn't be a conditional use permit, that'd be some
Be a-
kind of
be a
variance.
well, it has to be at least 10 feet away from
Yeah,
the
but that's-
lean-to.
But that's not, a conditional use permit allows you to use your property for additional things. So this would be more, this would be a variance from the rule. of
Okay.
How close your buildings can be. I don't know, I've never
Well, the
seen.
building has to be at least 10 feet away, and it would be a minimum of 10 feet away. The conditional use permit would be because it's 14 feet and larger than 160 feet square foot for an auxiliary building.
Yeah, the county ordinance
Oh,
says it's a 10 feet minimum each side on the side yard.
She's talking about size of building now, the outbuilding size.
Oh.
Is that what you're talking about, a conditional use permit for?
Yes.
Okay. She's saying she's gonna need to get a conditional use permit because the shed will be bigger than what's allowed with that zoning district.
Oh,
I think that's what you're saying.
That's how I
for
read,
the shed, not for the house.
right.
Okay.
So what's the square footage of the building that you want to keep there?
It's 14. There's a.
Yep.
It's post and beam construction, and there's a beam that goes here. So all this large portion would come down and this smaller sliver would stay, but it's 14 feet, 4 inches tall. You can't have a shed that tall, but it's an existing building
What's the height?
and we want to be 10 feet away to follow code. And if we can keep that part, we'd like to keep that part.
So that's gonna be zoned SFR 08, right?
SFR 8.
Yeah, okay, so-
Maximum height of accessory building is 12 feet.
And that would still be a variance as opposed to.
No, it's a I think it is a CUP, she's right. But I'm just looking to see if you can get CUPs under that zoning. Well, accessory buildings greater than 12 feet and less than 16 feet in height is a conditional use.
Okay.
So that's what she means.
Must have something to do with the ordinance change then.
Any other questions? Any comments? No. In our plan, they're within a quarter mile of the village, so they don't need any splits. And the original parcel was made before January 1 of 81. So they don't need an RDU.
The only thing if I'm looking at this preliminary survey map, right, it looks like they got the lot lines drawn all the way to the center line. I don't know if I'm looking at it right, but it's dashed at the right of way and solid at the center line, and then you're gonna want that to be dedicated in the final survey, right?
Correct.
If I'm looking at this right. So that'll change your acreages just a little bit.
Yeah.
If needed to be, can the lot size increase?
It's gonna go
No, go
slightly to the north, just a little bit to make room for the septic.
That north lot line, it looks like it lines up or is close to between those two lots, 2 and 3 of the certified survey map.
Mhm.
Most likely, it's going to be a little bit more for room for the septic company. I believe our surveyor might even be here.
Any questions from the audience or anyone online? Do we have a motion?
Sure, as specified with dedication of the road or dedication of the property along the road.
Motion by Mule, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Kudna, to approve the rezone and to ask for the dedication of the Gaston Road right away to the public. Correct?
Yeah, and if they need to shift that property line, that's fine too. So plus or minus
The,
To fit the septic
to
system.
fit the septic, yeah,
0.73 acres could
up to an acre.
go up to make room for the septic. Okay,
You want to put in your motion why there's no RDU required and why?
Because it's within a quarter mile too.
it's within the quarter mile of the village and the lot was made prior to January 1 of 1981, which doesn't require an RDU. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Town board will take it up on May 6th. Okay. Next, we have Brent Conwell, petitioner Capital Holdings LLC. They want to combine 0.5 acres from AT 35, moving it to GC, combining it with their other parcel on North Star Road.
That GC or here it's a base.
HC.
Zone out.
So, geez, I got everything.
That's wrong. Yeah,
Is it zoned HC or
It's
GC?
like HC on the zoning on the map from the county. Did they put GC on the map too?
Proposed zoning district is
HC.
going to HC
Yeah.
from AT 35.
That was an area where we did have a C at one time. wasn't it?
That was that first one, yeah. And after that, then we went to GC for everything. Are they here or online?
I don't know, Brent did check with us and was told he should be.
We will come back to it after our next agenda item. In case we do show up. We can if you wish. So moved. We will come back to it. So then we'll move to David Resop, petitioner, Kennedy Hills LLC, property owner to rezone 47.6 acres from AT 35 to SFR 08 to create 50 additional residential lots in the Kennedy Hills subdivision. David's not here, but, oh, there you are. You snuck in. You can have the floor.
I can do this if you want. Tag team tonight, I guess. Working with Dave Reese. This is kind of a continuation of what we saw and started in 2019. The plat of 16 lots of Kennedy Hills was recorded in 2020, August. The roads were built, the lots were sold. All of them have houses except one is still a basement. Was dug this week. This would be a continuation of that. There would be 50 new lots. We propose to do it in 2 phases. I'm assuming you've got a map that looks kind of like this.
They don't have that one. They got-
We can share.
Share. You can see how there's north of the park that is existing park. You can see a dividing line just north of it that says 20 lots. And
The red line?
yeah. There's a very big line, so and so the idea would be that there would be 2 phases in this project. The idea of doing 2 phases and bringing the zoning all at this time is it's much greater efficiency instead of going through everything twice. We only appear before you folks in the county and pay the fees and do all the work one time. This isn't really an infill development. There is existing subdivision to the north, to the east, and then Kennedy Hills to the south. The first phase of Kennedy Hills is to the south. We understand that there's a ton of things to do. This is our preliminary meeting, is how we see it with you folks. We know that we have to get development rights and this is an area known as an AFER, where one development right transfers in and becomes the rights to build 8 homes. That's what was done on the north, or on the existing phase of Kennedy. That's why it was 16 lots. We acquired 2 development rights. We know that we have to make Jason Tuggle of Dane County Stormwater happy. We think that they'll be thrilled, and that first pond, if you've ever looked at it, is outrageously big. We believe, and the engineers have to show, that the next phase of 20 lots will drain into that. The last phase, the northernmost phase, would drain to the northeast. There is a township-owned green space that is for stormwater and conservancy and such as that. And that would be part of the drainway for the stormwater coming from the northernmost lots, the northernmost 30 lots. We know that we have to interact with the DNR. They will again note that there's the Bald Eagle south of the intersection of Baxter Road and BB. We have to show that there are not karsts. When the first phase was being done, there was soil borings, deep borings taken, and we have that information. Dirt really doesn't change in 4 years, so we think that that'll work fine. There'll be the question of the trees in the little wooded area. Well, if you remember, Walt Olson owned this land up to, I think, 2012 or something. He had a logging crew go through there, so there are not the big old mature trees. They were logged out. But there's a bunch of little trees that'll be nice in people's backyard. The road plan was reviewed, not in a total formal manner when the first 16 was done, but it was all planned out to have the extensions. And I know that your planner has looked at it and your engineer has looked at it in our correspondence that we received in the last Friday, I think it was. And that all worked out real well. Dave Resab, of course, is a highly regarded surveyor, been working for the 40 years that I've known him. And he also farmed this, so it's a great thing to be able to farm back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then create a plat. So it's pretty cool. Everything works, everything flows nicely.
I would like to make one comment about, this is probably the 3rd phase on the north end. Up it would be the northeast corner, the far northeast corner. That's going to be the water retention or detention area.
That outlot.
Yes, that outlot up there. Correct. The area that Dave just referred to, the town-owned property behind the homes on American Heritage, does flood currently in wet seasons. And I want to go on record right now that extra care needs to be taken, because if all of the water from that northern development is going to flow into there, it very well could overload what the ground is able to take and the current grades that exist over here which would be the back of the homes on American Way, which is just north of where the soccer fields are over there. That whole area there does flood.
So of course, that'll all get looked at and extensively reviewed by the developers, engineers, and by the Dane County engineers and the stormwater team at that. But thank you for the heads up. It is noted that on the east-west section of Conestoga, there are two small culverts going under that road that are half plugged by it, and by existing vegetation and filled in dirt. And so that'll probably make a difference when those culverts.
Dave, I won't even go there, but I doubt it will at all. I mean, there is too much water that sits back there that adding any more coming out of the development will not be good for all of the existing residents along American Heritage and those further to the north. And I guess I would like to ask that any correspondence that we get, engineering wise, include the town-owned parcel here. And if any changes have to be made on the town-owned land, that the developer be responsible for changing the grade to make sure it doesn't flood back for those homes back there.
You mean
All this right here. Yes.
All the way down from, to be that corner that you were talking about, Steve, all the way down to basically lot, through the parking lot 18, correct? Close?
I can't speak to the circle as far as, because that kind of goes up, no, go down a little bit farther to your right now, that circle right there.
Okay.
I can't speak to what the water problem or if it exists or anything else like that. I just know firsthand on the stuff further to the north.
Okay.
It'd be like in the, what's Rick Boyce's 4545, I think.
right there.
Huh?
There's Rick right there.
Oh, hey, behind your house, flooding
It
back
does
there.
flood there once in a while. But
Yeah.
what I'm worried about is the culverts on American Way gonna be able to handle all that down there where it comes to the park. That's gonna be a lot of water coming off. That's a lot of homes and asphalt. You know, originally that was supposed to be 5-acre parcels, guys. That went way by when the county changed it. We realized that the building has to go on here. There's a bunch of us do have some questions before you finalize anything, please.
And again, this is just the first of several meetings and maybe $100,000 worth of engineering. So
Lot 55 is a problem.
Lot 50.
The corner.
because it comes off of Kennedy.
And it's so close to Whiting.
It's so close to 55 in your maps is the
Intersection.
upper corner, the northwestern lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's so
And
close.
it doesn't have access to your Homeland Drive, so you're
No.
going to make it come out on Kennedy,
Kennedy, yes.
but it's so close where Whiting comes on to Kennedy.
So you're concerned with weaving there.
Why don't you bring it out to the development road? Bring it out to the development road.
Into the Homeland Drive.
Yeah.
We think it will, if you have your driveway coming on the southeast, the southwest of that, you should be an adequate, you'll be almost 200 feet from a Whiting Road coming from the west. And that's usually greater than what people consider a weaving beam, or somebody comes out from their house and then goes visit their friend at the end of Whiting Road.
That driveway would have
Like
to be
that,
to the
you want to
far
be able to get out,
south.
straighten out and then make a proper turn.
It would have to be to the far south of that.
Yeah.
lot.
It's starting to go up the hill though too.
Yes, it is, but there's
Yeah.
good vision distance there too.
So would you reconsider bringing it out to Homeland?
Figure 54, 55, 56. Let's reconfigure those three lots then.
Yeah,
Just have two and get rid of it.
Huh?
Or you have two, get rid of
That's
one
true.
and make two
Yeah.
bigger ones in the corner.
yeah, make 56 and 54 bigger.
And then you lose the ability to collect taxes of, the average tax bill on the first 16 lots right now is about $10,500 a year.
Town doesn't
So by
get
the
all
time
that. Town doesn't get to keep much of that either.
No, they get to keep what, 100%?
About
I want
3
quality,
million.
not numbers.
Huh?
I said I want quality lots, not numbers.
Yes.
Well, so does whoever develops this will want the same thing.
Who's gonna develop it?
That's, right now it's Dave Reesop, but that may change.
And we had sent you the note from our planner, Mark Robles. And you saw his comments. You have any answers at this point in time?
Well, the stormwater has to be looked at by the project engineers and by the Dane County engineers. And that's probably, you have to verify that the 20 lots in the first phase go to the southeast, to the oversized pond that's there. And then we have to, as we just were discussing, we have to figure out how to get the water safely away to the northeast corner of the 30 lots. And then we have to go right on down the list of the stuff that the planner has, and most of that is engineering. He does have requests for wider streets in some places, and that's the planner's recommendation, and the board and the planning commission have to decide whether that in fact makes sense to,
That's per our ordinance though.
well, and I guess you may have it making sense.
Yeah.
How many lots, or I'm sorry, how many splits do you plan on obtaining if this fully gets
Well,
approved?
that was, with 50 lots, that's 6 1/4 dwelling unit rights, because of the 8 FER. There is in fact a partial dwelling unit right running around that we think still exists and would be valid. And so you'd have to get 6.
What partial one and where?
I believe it would be part of the Vinnie project.
Is he allowed to split that? Because we had changed that.
No, he was able to keep it and sell it as long as it's used in another subdivision.
Did we change?
Which makes sense, things have cost and
You got the
therefore
most
value.
there. What's that?
There is also a question,
You can't just put it anywhere.
the planner notes how just south of the little airport is an extension of the village that it seems to show up on the maps. And that's getting very within a 1/4 mile of the northwest corner of this project. And you guys are saying that within a 1/4 mile, you don't need dwelling unit rights.
I'm not.
And so, well,
And here's why.
why?
When we set that up, that was to give people an opportunity to come up against the village and do something there. This doesn't prevent any annexation. It does not. You want to annex it, go ahead. But as far as I'm concerned,
Well, how would you ever annex it?
you wouldn't.
No,
So why would you use that? That's the reason why we put that in there,
I didn't
to help with the
know.
annexation.
No, we didn't know that was in there until the planner brought it up on
Well,
Friday.
I'm telling you. So when it comes to getting splits, unless you have them all, that's it. I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not done until you see all the splits.
Mhm.
That's mine. I
Right.
don't know what everyone else feels, but that's my opinion.
So that's,
So your plan has changed from your original concept plan that you originally showed us?
back in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that a total of 66 in the project. Now it'll be, or 64 in the project, and now it'll be 66. Is that about right?
I remember the retention ponds were laid out differently.
Yeah,
look like it to come up. Here's what the original one looked like.
They moved it just a
So it had
touch up.
detention more along that whole area there, not just up in the corner. And then, yeah, it had 64 lots.
Instead of 66.
Other than that, the road layouts were similar.
Yeah.
Phasing was maybe a little different. Yeah, phasing was different.
Yeah, so from, in a 5-year program, the concepts changed slightly. I think that this is a really good design. It makes a lot of sense.
What was the matter with the old design?
Well, we don't think that the county will allow that, those stormwater lines, that they will want to see it more consolidated. And I think you guys also wanted the park to be able to be more parking lot to service the American Way park,
Right.
which doesn't have parking, and so you
Right.
double use that. And so this is a refinement of what happened 5 years ago.
We do have a couple of questions from people online whenever you're ready for those.
Sure.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
There was one person who did say that they agreed with the speaker regarding the flooding issues for houses to the north and east of the park. And then someone who wants to know if there's an initial proposed timeline.
Again, the stormwater is the biggest single thing going. That detention basin down there was like the existing detention basin in the southeast corner of this project. A giant series of 3 is exceedingly complex, right from the plants to a layer of jute to a layer of pea gravel to these things are so engineered, and typically they're built so oversized that what happens in the north 30 lots will be looked at, scrutinized, and it will be outrageously expensive. And we'll have engineers saying this will be fine. It should be better than what you got now.
Do you expect to have that information, I don't know, by the end of the summer as to
Well,
what the
in terms of
engineer
a
will
timeline,
require for stormwater?
Right. In terms of a timeline, we're here this evening because by the third Thursday of March, we had to apply to get on the May 28th meeting at the county. And so then after that, there's the May 28th meeting, and then there's the county board, and then there's the county board, and then there's all the things that happens administratively. Concurrently with that is if you guys are liking this whole concept, there will be all kinds of engineering. There will be the acquisition of the development rights, or rather, more specifically, there will be contracts for the acquisition of the development rights. And all the things that has to happen. And if everything happens somewhere about mid-October, we would be able to have final plat, final zoning, well, final zoning would already have happened. Final plat, and they would be able to start actually doing the physical work out there. The next 20 lots is only 2,070 feet of street. There is no real stormwater, which is the tricky thing again. And so it doesn't take long to build 2,070 feet of gravel-based street and put the first layer of blacktop on it in probably the 1st of November is what we're projecting, that if all this goes as we perceive. And then they would be able to do what happened last time, that people started building homes over that month of January of 25.
Please remember that you have to check with the postmaster
Of course,
as to where you.
wherever he wants it, he can have
So
it,
you're,
because they win.
so you're hoping to be turning dirt this fall?
Yes,
Okay, in just phase 2?
yes.
What about phase 3?
Phase 3, you gotta sell the lots on phase 2, it is for phase 3. But it is very possible, as you drive through Kennedy Hills, when you talk to the people who live there in Kennedy Hills, they're really happy. It looks really good. This next phase will be the equivalent of that. And do we believe that the 20 lots will be sold by next spring? Sure. Or close to? So then we would be able to start the 30 lot phase 3 and be done with the whole project hopefully in 26, early 26. These are very desirable kinds of properties. You just look at it and you can see how, oh man, everybody's out there doing their spring planting and more trees are going in. This next phase will be the same thing. There's a wonderful chance. Oh, golly jeepers, what is the math? At $11,000 tax base times 66 lots. That's what you should be seeing in the year of 27. You should be seeing 66 families out there or residents out there with citizens who are happy to be in the town of Cottage Grove. If I understand growth in Dane County, as I have for the last 47 years being a realtor, those are things that are good. You're doing a very efficient use of land, big country lots, giving that style, but not overly large. This is just a wonderful project for the town.
There's a
People
comment from a couple of residents that are in phase 1 who are concerned that only doing phase 2 forces all of the construction traffic through phase 1 versus being able to come in from the north.
So they're asking to maybe have the road.
They aren't asking anything, but they're commenting that if the way that phase 1 looks or 2 looks,
Yeah.
the only roads into it, if you didn't do phase 3 roads at the same time, would be through the existing development.
Also, my question, are you talking about having this 100% approved and then start your construction on phase 2, or are you
Oh,
gonna?
yes. By phase 2, the 20 lots. Yeah, you gotta have everything.
We're talking everything in red here, you're gonna have approval for all this in red prior to even breaking any ground on phase 2. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I would think we'd want phase 2 and
Yeah.
everything engineered all the way to the north end.
Yeah.
Including stormwater, everything.
So when he mentioned that, this fall breaking dirt, I'm like,
I don't see how you could with this big a development, even in 2 phases.
We do. We've talked to engineers who, that's the big thing is you've got your preliminary.
There was
plat.
several missteps that went along on the first part of this thing with people starting and wanting to start digging holes before everything was fully approved. And we at the town, and I think I can speak for Chris Kim, and I know myself as a town board member, we don't want to make the same mistake twice by trying to be the good guy, that every T will be crossed and every I dotted before so much as a shovel full of dirt gets moved. And the other thing that I want to add before I forget, Dave, when you were promoting the first addition to this
Buyers,
huh?
to the buyers.
Yeah, well, no, just even to us as the plan commission, the finishes on the homes, because we tried upgrading the finishes on the homes as far as what you tell your prospective buyers that we want to see. You told us that these were going to be low to moderate income, not low, but moderate income, easy to afford homes for everybody here. And the extra monies that would be spent for high-end front finishes and stuff like that would deter people from buying lots. Looking at all the building permits that came in, There were none. Everything was $400,000 or $500,000 homes that I'm gonna suggest to everybody here that when you come back to us as far as your
Restrictions.
HOA stuff, that
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
increase immensely the types of finishes on the front of the homes, that make it more upscale than the first
The
addition.
first 16 homes, Steve, have an average value of over 650,000.
But that's not what you told us here. You told us that they were gonna be more middle of the road, lower,
I
not
don't
lower
remember
income.
that at all.
Yes, I do, very specifically.
It may be when we started in 2019, I was looking at my notes. And we could see that in 2019, we expected the lots to be at such and such and such and such. But then the market shifted, which is very interesting that over COVID, all of a sudden, people spent more and more money. Cottage Grove became a more and more wonderful place to live. And we found out it was a wonderful place to live. And look what they did. So I'm very confused by, what are you looking for? The plans, what's out there, what we have is, I personally do not live in a $650,000 home. And I don't know why it has to, what you're looking for to have that. Are you looking for?
Your
a-
minimums are less than what the more expensive homes ended up being.
Right, right. And those people
And
make
those,
the decision.
I want your specifications to your builders and to your potential lot buyers to be higher.
Matching what's
Why?
been built,
What?
matching what's been built.
Or even more. I
Why?
mean, quite frankly,
Why?
why?
To me, that is a very elitist position. I and my family cannot afford to live in there.
That's
If
the
that's
story you
what you
gave us
wanna
the
do.
first time,
It
David.
doesn't matter
Well,
what.
Look at the lots that were built, okay?
It
That's
is
what
a
I.
question of
wait,
the stuff
David.
that happened.
We'll have this conversation when we talk about HOA. Let's move on. Are there more questions
Yeah, there's a
from
couple more.
online?
Someone is wondering if there's a way to limit the sale of lots from all going to a single home builder and becoming very standardized instead of the more country lots that were sold in the first 16.
One builder, I believe Tim O'Brien, built 5 homes there. 2 or 3 were specs. I think maybe it's 6, and 3 were designed by the individuals. Austin Gannon built 3 homes there. Tom Weber Builders built at least 3 there. And so that's 5, 6. I think there was a total of 6 different builders out there. 7 with the new one that just started this week.
Who bought the lots? Individual people?
Sometimes individuals bought the lots and contracted with a builder. Some, like Tom Weber, bought 3 lots and built for them. One was a spec, and I believe 2 were contracts, but I don't really remember those details. I know Austin Gannon, on lot 5, the last one, which I think sold for $715,000. I think he had his buyer in line when he bought lot 5, but I don't really know those kinds of detail. Does that matter?
Just kind of help answer her question.
We really liked the diversity of builders in there. We thought it works real nice.
Any more, Kim, from
I think there
online?
was one more, hold on. It says, so the estimate for all the roads, including through Conestoga Trail would be, from Conestoga Trail would be, I'm assuming they're asking for the time as estimate. How soon would all the roads be built?
How soon would all the roads be
For
built?
both phases.
At the earliest spring of 26, or pardon me, at the earliest spring of 25. And so you got to build it.
For phase 2.
So summer of 25 at the earliest.
For phase 3 roads
Yeah,
too?
that would be the earliest.
That was the last of the online.
Yes, I think so.
Questions?
And it should be added that the market depends upon how quick you sell 20 lots. You know, if we go nuclear in Ukraine, the bets are off. But if it stays like we project in our lives,
Okay. Ma'am?
My question was, we saw these big, huge houses going up and wow, really expensive. If that happens in all of these phases, what does that mean for the rest of us that in our neighborhood, there's a lot of retirees, soon to be retirees going on fixed incomes. What does that do for our property values and taxes? I mean, will that eventually price us out and force us to move?
Your property values are set by the assessor and whatever the market is bringing. Because just a number, if you have a $400,000 house and the one next to you is $1 million house, doesn't change your taxes. You're still taxed on your value of your property. Whatever our mill rate would be, if it's $2.50 or if it's $3.50, you'd pay that based on your $400,000, and whoever had the million would pay on theirs.
Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Heather Serpinski. I'm on Conestoga Trail. Lived in Dane County all my life, and I'm sad to see the farm go.
Is there anything going to be done with Kennedy Road? How's the Kennedy Road going to handle another 56 houses?
We haven't discussed that yet, but
Because Kennedy Road is dangerous because you're coming up BB.
Oh, yeah.
They don't see you until you get there.
Right.
And you're
Can't see over
starting to
the
add
hill.
56 more people coming out of there. It's going to be that much more dangerous.
the intersection with Kennedy and BB,
Yes.
Yeah.
that was designed by the county.
It was, yeah.
And
Yeah, but when the county designed it, they weren't adding all these houses
Right.
either.
Well, actually, the
Was.
county specified what had to be built there.
yeah,
Mr. Resop had to pay for that. He also had to pay for it all the way down to Buckley Ridge, which was ignored back when it was done. And that is considered a wonderful roadway.
What is?
Buckley and
The intersection of Kennedy and BB.
Oh, well, I don't know. I know you're a
Safe
used
as
car
can be.
salesman. That ain't a wonderful intersection, believe me.
right.
I travel it every day and there's multiple times in a week that I got to slam on the brakes because somebody pulls out in front of me. So don't tell me that's a wonderful intersection.
So,
I live there.
so you could go down to the Baxter.
Yeah, I couldn't, or I could go move it to Milwaukee too, but that isn't going to happen.
well, I guess all I can tell you is that when it was reconfigured, when their first phase went in, it was built to what the county wanted to be built.
I think based on the 64 lot concept plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then another question is, how are you going to drain all that water down to the holding pond when that fence line's 5 feet higher than what the center of that woods is?
Say that once again.
Fence
That
line,
fence line from the woods to the phase one is sitting 5 feet higher than what the center of that woods is.
on the east side of the.
On the south side. It'd be on the north side of phase one. You're going into the woods. That fence line there is 5 feet higher than what the center of that woods is. Now what are you gonna do? Pump that water down there or what? Because it's all gonna head for what's the cornfield.
The street will be built and there'll be road ditches there, sir.
Road ditches, water don't run uphill unless there's a big wind.
That's the drainage way. The line through the middle, the north part goes to the northeast corner.
I live right there behind the woods, and that center of that woods where the lots are gonna be is 5 feet lower than what that fence line is, because it all goes up. From my backyard, I can't see any of the tops of that new subdivision. Yeah, I'm lot 25, and I can't see any of those houses there. That's how much higher that is.
So you're lot 25 of, what's the address?
Independent Circle.
That's
So
the
we
northeast
should
corner.
look at that.
Northwest corner.
What was your name, please?
Dan Copus.
Let's see.
That one right there. Oh, it's 25.
And that's where a stormwater plan all has to show that water's not going over that fence line and that it's
Yeah,
coming
when any
from there.
drawing can show you, it's what we got to put up with once it's done.
Well, that's
It'll
where
be graded.
storm water stuff has to show all that and it has to be accepted.
Well, and then another question is, how come that parking lot isn't in the center of the park? Why is it behind two houses?
I'll kind of address that too, Jeff Page.
Yeah.
I have the 2019 renditions here. I was at the last meeting. I'm in lot 23. When the original concept was drawn,
It was right up to you,
yeah, and it said park.
and we moved it to the north.
In fact, it was a parking lot. And we discussed and it was voted on and accepted at the time that that was going to be moved into the center of the park. When we used to have retention ponds on there, I think are gone now. So at that point in time, when it was adopted and accepted, the way I look at it, that parking lot should be in either lot 49 or 50. That is the center of the park, not, well, it's labeled.
Because you know kids are going to be running through yards because they're going to take the shortest cut. And these houses have dogs, so you got kids running through the yards, the dogs howling.
But at one point, when we discussed that last time, you know, somebody on the board asked me, it said, who the hell wants to build a house next to a parking lot? And I went, now you're getting my point of view. So.
But at least this way, if it's moved, they got a choice whether they want to buy the lot or not.
And it's fine. It's great. Put the parking lot 49 or
And
50.
49.
49 or 50 would be great, but my question to you guys was, outlot 4, I believe, is where you're talking the water is going to be heading, correct? Correct.
Yeah.
So if you made,
Really,
if that's where you want it to go. So if we put that parking lot in 50, you affect one home, potential home.
true.
It gives a what?
It'll really depend on where that stormwater retention ends up being.
Are we, because on this drawing, there's no ponds.
Right, it just shows an outlot.
Correct, and I see that these lots are also deeper than this original rendition. The one with the retention ponds on it, they're labeled as 185 feet deep, 175 feet deep, so on and so forth, east to west.
Yeah.
On the new drawing, they are 281, 264, 302.
Yeah.
So that's telling me there's no retention ponds there anymore.
Right.
No.
Maybe
And this
it's
is
concept.
just a preliminary map.
I got you.
And
I'm just
until
making
they
sure.
Do that engineering, for the engineer to tell us where the water's going to flow.
Yep. Something flows downhill. I got you. I know.
It'll change.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we ever do get to the point where we adopt this, it's got to be dead nuts on here when it gets sent to our houses. These maps got to be aced.
And that's how preliminary plat then gets developed into final plat. And I think the accuracy of surveying is down to 1/10 of a foot or something. Or is it 1/10 of an inch? This will all get more detailed than you'll ever want to read.
So does that mean we're moving the parking lot?
Do we have like an
No,
agreement
I
on
don't
that?
think that any of that is at
We don't
this
know yet.
point in time. the engineering is going to define these kinds of things.
But a water can flow over a blacktop or gravel parking lot, no problem.
Maybe or maybe not, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, if an engineer's worth his weight, it will flow. That's usually how you put a parking lot, to have it flow in one direction.
Yeah.
Don't go right out on the park.
Yes, sir.
Along this whole retention pond and everything, when outlot 4 there, that butts up right to our septic field which we share with one of our neighbors. And if we're talking that much more water coming in, we already have a extremely moist area back there due to, shade and trees and everything from that American Heritage Park. So any more water back there is just not going to survive. It's going to probably eventually kill our septic field.
I don't know that that's how dirt works. When you make sure.
Well, oversaturation will kill it either way.
Right, if the dirt is moving or the water is moving laterally, one of the concepts that would be kind of nice is.
But you're running the water north and we're sitting just north of where you want to put the water.
Right, and if it's moving on through or first sinking down, if you think in terms of the existing pond, that's water is sinking way down past the septic system depth.
Yes, but if it should for some reason clog or fill over, that's going to affect my septic field and that's going to cause issues. Who do I come after?
Then you should come after the engineer, I guess, or whoever, but that's such a.
So we'll have to make sure that the engineer looks at where the septic fields are along that northern boundary of those homes.
Are you in the circle?
No, we're right on the end of Conestoga.
Oh.
So we're that L-shaped piece that goes right around that last house where it's going to butt up to the end of phase 3.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the concepts that we have looked at is the outlot that the town has for drainage and conservancy is cleaning that on up. So you are getting better movement, better sunlight into a better evaporation and better infiltration. And what would be really nice at that point is to connect the park that's at Conestoga and American Way with a walkway bike track down to the park that is on
You can actually make the trail that's through there that everybody walks their dogs on.
Pardon?
The one that everybody walks their dogs on through there already.
Yeah.
And all the trees that are falling down back there that really need to be cut down and manicured because they're starting to decay and fall over.
Because of too much water.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're box filled.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's not a overly pretty area back then.
Okay, I got some questions and I'm sure we've covered them all more than once, but these are bothering me. First of all, is that pond that you were supposedly gonna have be covered? Like the other one was? You only got like, what, 20 houses or something on that one? That huge one in the front, and you're gonna put 50 more houses draining down through the back of my house and the other people's houses?
No, it breaks somewhere as you go up the hill, what goes south and what goes north.
Well, that's a huge, well done, what they did on the first part. There's no way in hell you can do that here, the way it's designed.
And that huge pond had to cover land to the west side of Kennedy, and it also covers the next 20 lots. So that pond is overbuilt to accommodate the next 20 lots. And the engineering and Jason Tuggle at Dane County have to be satisfied as to that. So they will go back and look at the capacity of all that.
So in essence, to answer his question, half of the lots for this whole parcel, half of it is going to the south.
30 lots
Half
and
will go to the north.
30 lots will go to the northeast. And really, that's about it. The watershed for the 30 lots Nothing really comes over from Kennedy Road. Nothing, if you look at the topography, the break lines, I'm sorry you didn't get the maps these guys got with the topography written into them. But there is a break point where water goes to the north and where water goes to the south. And that's just, that kind of divide is always there. So the needs for the last 30 lots are much different than the first 36 lots, including the math that was done for land on the west side of Kennedy Road. So there's,
Okay, we've kind of realized there's a problem there that needs to be taken care of. But there's some others. Do you have any parks on your property that you're gonna be, it looks like it's all houses. Why would you use American Heritage? And all these kids and family come over next to my house where I have a park that's 20, 25 feet with kids, which I don't think is legal. So they're gonna double that and you're gonna devalue my house. Simple as that. That's so all that park stuff should be moved over to where you're coming through with your parking lot. Where's your parks you should have?
there is the 2.22 acre park in the, that's the
Between
north
48 and
side of this
49
lot
right now.
16, or of the 60
Is that
lots.
a township park?
That's a
That'll be
township park.
dedicated to the
Well,
town.
where's the other one or two that should be up in here?
And then the town ordinance says the developer has to provide land for so many parks. And there was in fact an over amount to make that park real nice. And then there will be the balance of the park land, which is pretty much computed already as almost 2 acres in lot 4, stormwater, but 1 acre in outlot 3. As you
So
see.
these are gonna be nice parks that the people that's paying $650,000 are gonna like.
They're gonna be parks, green space, whatever the developer dedicates, gives the land to the town, and the town park commission does what they want to do.
This doesn't show it and it looks like a Walt Olson deal to me. I've lived there for 46 years, so I've heard these things, it's got to be straightened and done right. Also, your parking lot, how many park cars are gonna be parking in there? Well, you're supposed to alleviate so there's no traffic on American Way. How are you gonna put 40, 50 cars in one little lot?
The design of the park on American Way was back, what, in 1976? And incidentally, the American Way subdivision that Walt developed in 1976, I think is gorgeous. I think that program with the curvilinear streets, the cul-de-sacs, everything has turned out to be just a boon and blessing.
Oh, it is it's a nice place to live, but I'm saying you don't have no parks. You want to use our park.
No, this will
It's a
have
town
its
park.
property.
Our town park though.
Our town park.
Yeah.
Instead of you having, if I was gonna spend that kind of money, I would sure like to have a park so I wouldn't have to walk or ride and park my car. So I'm confused. What my biggest problem is, those people are gonna come in that, where those little kids stuff is, next to my property. It's been good for 50 years. Now you're gonna double or triple the amount of kids coming to my house, next to my house? Then you should have to pay, you should have to pay to move all those toys to the center of the park.
There's also a park to the south in the first phase,
Outlot 2.
in Outlot 2, that has playground equipment in it.
Second phase.
First phase.
First phase.
That's the acre and a half bigger than.
Well, I had heard that do they have an association up there that they pay 25 a month or something to help support that park?
They have a homeowners association. That's what will be required probably for all of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
These stages, and the homeowners association did approach the town because it was originally just supposed to be walking paths and like a natural area. They approached the town and asked for
Some
playground
playground
equipment, and the town board did buy them the playground equipment, partially using all these new homes. When the homes are built, there's always a park fee that the town collects.
I do realize there's a park on the south. Where's the park, decent park right in the center of this development? Where everybody can use it and walk real easy. I don't see it.
The part that's there is built already is an acre and a half larger than required. That covers partially the new lots.
There,
But everybody on those north ends of those lots is gonna want to walk all the way down to the south end?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a joke.
Well, what's interesting about that is we're also looking on some of the streets, creating extra wide streets so people can walk on them. So let us decide, is walking good in the country or not? You know, I mean, this is.
Except they won't be
You
walking in
have
the
this
country, they'll be
great
walking in a
park-
subdivision.
You have this great park on American Way with its couple ball fields and stuff. But the question is, there was never a provision for parking because probably nobody thought of that in 1976 or whenever that.
Nobody thought
phase
about
was
playing
done.
soccer probably.
So there was no soccer. Are you gonna put 60 parking lots over there? That's what you're gonna need.
You're going to get what you get and.
You're gonna put 10 parking lots. I know what you're gonna pull.
No, the developer has to go with the town ordinance.
I've heard this stuff many times.
The developer has to go with the town ordinance, and that's what was done. And in fact, a surplus was created by doing that. These people and the planning commission and the planner and the county, everybody's looking at these documents.
I really don't care what they do. When you live there, it's a whole different story. Are you gonna not have any parking on American Way then?
That would be the hope, that we would cut down on the parking on American Way when there's soccer games played at the park.
We never had soccer, and it was great before the damn soccer came around. But I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna need 30 to 50 lots. Parking spots.
30 to 50 spots.
That would be probably 2 or 3 of your lots that you're gonna sell.
As somebody that turns on to American Way every day from Liberty, when there's soccer there, it is so hard to get through. There are, people that don't pull off to the shoulder, they sit directly in the drive path. And if you've got somebody coming the other direction, you might not know it, and then somebody's got to drive backwards, which, that's an issue as far as safety for anybody that's there, because one of the kid darts out and you
Both
can't see
sides
them.
of the road, even though the one side says no parking, they don't pay any attention.
Can't read.
Park, lot 41 and 22 would make a good park. Pretty safe right there, not a lot of traffic in between the two where they go on the Kennedy Road.
I got a park in lot 2 to the south of there.
I can, it doesn't show it.
We don't see it.
I mean, that's a major concern.
Outlet 2.
And then when they do this, they can make sure to move the toys more towards their properties. Think about it. How would you all like to live next to that? I do have a real complaint. I don't even know if it's legal to have that close to someone's house. Walt Jr. put all that crap in. Okay, let's move on. Did somebody do a water study to make sure our wells ain't gonna go dry? Who's gonna pay if our wells go dry?
Actually, in the town comprehensive plan, it talks about the abundance of water in the subsurface areas of Cottage Grove. And that other than what hydrate, that problem with hydrate, that nobody's ever had a problem.
Well, the water runs south, it don't run north.
Water runs underground downhill and travels laterally, so.
Any direction.
Yeah, it goes the way it goes. And that's-
Look at all the people from hydrate down that don't have good water. So it's going that way.
Didn't Carpsey look at that at one point? On the whole subdivision, the whole plan? Didn't they weigh in on, when we were talking about this before, about water, that issue? I thought so.
I don't recall.
I can see if I can dig that out.
Was there a separate water study done? What about all these septic? Where they're gonna hook up to Dane County water there?
No, Dane County doesn't have
Well,
water.
there's a lot of septics systems too with, do we have a high water table and those all that septic, was there really study done?
Actually, if you read the Cottage Grove Comprehensive Plan, it does talk about water and septic, and that the town works well with water and septic. So
I'm talking, not the whole town, I'm talking American Heritage Development.
A study done.
there's been borings done, of the subsoils and
Yes
all
or no?
that kind of stuff.
Was there a study done?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were done when they were gonna put 5-acre parcels in. I can guarantee you, I watched it being done.
Yeah, it was done,
And if you go back to 5-acre parcels, it'll be just fine. You got way too many.
5-acre parcel.
I know you can't do it anymore, but what I'm saying is too many houses here. Someone's gonna make a lot of money, and if something goes wrong, who's gonna pay for it? The town? You guys are supposed to look out for us taxpayers. That's your job. I'm not trying to be nasty, but that is your job. Not some guy that's selling houses.
Dane County Health will do.
Well, okay, that culvert probably at the end on American Way will probably not handle the water. It will wash out the road most likely, and then it will backfill into these other people's houses. I can guarantee you, it's gonna happen. Okay, that's my concerns, if you're gonna do it right.
that's what we all agree on, that it will be done right. It is very important to do this stuff right. It's a real question. Do you trust engineers? Do you trust the county? Do you trust the town? No. You don't, you can't get along with this program. That's just how it is.
There's one with the train out front.
Any other questions?
We do have a couple more online,
Online.
mainly going back to the park thing. Are additional walking paths going to be included in the plan too, with no sidewalks, and lots of kids and dogs would be wanting that. So some of the roads are gonna be wider, right?
One of Mark's was, given the multiple park and trail connector functions, I recommend designing, sizing, and improving both Woodland Ridge Trail and Farmstead roads as neighborhood corridor streets. Those would then go to, is it 70 feet with room for a bike path or
Bike lane or bike, yeah.
bike lane or walking.
That's what it shows there. Was it 30, 50, 33 and 50. That's it. If you want to be Kennedy Road.
No, it was Woodland Ridge Trail and Farmstead Roads as neighborhood connectors.
I'm just looking at Kennedy Road on this drawing. It's got center line looks like 33 and 50. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, we asked for wider
Wider.
from 33,
An additional.
but we don't have it on the west side yet.
It would just be on the east.
Yeah. Goes all the way to the end of the property.
Okay. Now, is that something that needs to get added as part of this development?
We'll have probably improved the road, yes.
Okay.
We just saw Mark's comments on Friday, which is sensible in that here we're talking about the development. Now we know what things the town would like, so the engineering can incorporate that.
And that's the point that everybody needs to understand, I think, is that this is the concept that they have, but until stormwater gets figured out, they might not be able to have this many lots. They might not, things will change a lot until once they figure out where the stormwater goes. And we did have the town planner review this in light of our comprehensive plan.
And the
Again,
engineer.
for tonight's purposes, all the plan commission is here to really consider is should that area be rezoned from agriculture to residential? But we want to get the developer on the right track tonight by telling him, by the way, your roads will have to be wider, things like that. So it's good to have all this comment, but it'll look a lot different than this, I bet, by the time it's really done. So So let's see, there was somebody who said, why does he keep saying developer? Who is he selling to? I don't know if you're willing to say that yet.
No, the developer is Resop. That's who signed the.
Right now it is, yeah. And then someone else had a comment that it sounds like the remaining outlots won't be parks or even enjoyable green space, as they are retention ponds. There were talks of more enjoyable, usable green space, natural areas and walking trails in past meetings beyond the small park in phase 1. So I think that's been addressed, but.
Okay, so you have Mark and Nick's comments. You'll have answers for us at the next time you're before us, right?
So will there be a public hearing or is it?
I would say that, yeah. I mean, short of what we have.
Most of what those comments relate to will come more in the planning phase than the rezoning phase.
Yeah.
So, you know, the question tonight is, are you gonna approve the rezoning of that whole area that's in red to residential? And then they'll have to come forward with a plat that addresses all these other things.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing we need to let them know is, according to our comp plan for neighborhood development area purpose and policies, in number 3, for each residential density unit, an RDU transferred from a TDR sending area to neighborhood development area, the developer is able to develop 8 housing units above the number of housing units allocated to the May 15th, 1982 parcel, providing that the developer meets all other applicable regulations and policies. However, if any part of a tax parcel in the neighborhood development area is within a quarter mile from the Village of Cottage Grove boundary as of July 5th, 2022, transferred RDUs are not required to obtain town approval for residential development that is above the number of housing units RDUs allocated to that May 15th, 1982 tax parcel.
Disagree. I know it's in there, but that is not the intent of it.
Intent or not, that's how it reads. And my thought is the northern tax parcel, that parcel doesn't need RDUs.
You need to measure, I mean, I measured that on Access Dane. I don't know how accurate that is. So I would, you know, it might not, I mean, it's pretty darn close, but I don't know if it's.
You're a surveyor, you can survey it and tell me.
Yeah, it overlaps into it. In fact, I think it's shown on the planners. We included a little map.
Well, that's what I drew on Access Dane. I just took Access Dane's measuring tool and took the corner of your property and the corner of that driveway that comes out south of Zimmerman's that shows it's in the village. And so I don't know how accurate that is.
So you measure it, and if it's within a quarter mile, show us.
Okay.
Is there conflict of interest there? Just saying.
Actually has a license.
Why not?
Well,
Why not have,
I don't care if he does it.
huh?
I don't care if he does it, but just as long as it's
Didn't stop annexation.
not that I don't trust you, Dave, I'm just saying.
I don't know,
Right period.
Troy, if
Doesn't
we
say
talk
that.
about annexation,
I,
one of the things about annexation is if you have 50 lot owners, they would all have to agree to be annexed.
There's only
And
one
you
lot
never get
now.
50 people to
What's
agree to
that?
anything.
What Troy's saying is that policy was put in place for properties within the quarter mile of the village so that hopefully developers would decide to stay in the town and develop and not in the village. And that doesn't apply here because you couldn't annex if you wanted to. You don't touch the village.
correct,
I think that's what you were saying, right?
correct. So we should be obligated to buy the splits.
In the letter of the policy, if it measures a quarter mile, it probably says.
Yeah.
Says that, but.
Oh, maybe that's something we should reconsider reverbing, if you don't.
Hmm?
Maybe that's some verbiage we should clarify, if you don't mind. After this.
It'll be on next month. I think Mark is going to be back with the changes.
I got one last question relating to one of Kim's questions about neighbor. You have a top coat already on that phase one or on the blacktop, right? It's finished coat?
This time.
Yeah. So to alleviate the construction vehicles coming in Fields Road and the little part of Scenic Oak, if he's going for the whole thing, could we provisionally allow them to come in on a roughed-in farmstead?
More of a construction entrance. to
Yeah,
that.
construction entrance so that they could all come in from the north.
Right.
Yeah. So for phasing, that might work for those people.
Yeah.
So,
For construction vehicle.
Yep, only.
so the original plan did include that land though, the concept plan. It came before us. It showed for the first phase, second phase, and third. It did include that land.
It's all the same land, yep.
Everything.
I do have a question, a bad question. So they're gonna start putting the roads in before anything's approved?
No,
No.
No, no.
Thank you.
When do we expect to see the next rendition, the next design plan? When am I gonna get another letter?
You're not gonna probably get another letter. You need to pay attention now. We have a website and we're not gonna send a letter every time they come. You're notified that this is going on. Just watch the agendas. There is a sign up on the website for Kennedy Hills, under, when you sign up for email updates, there's actually a topic list. You sign up that and you'll get something that way, but I'm not gonna notify 80 people every time they come into the town board. You've been put on notice.
Oh, I'm 73, gonna be 73, and I don't use a computer very much. So I need you to send me a piece of paper.
If you need me to send you a piece of paper every time you write it down for me.
Thank you.
Somehow, but generally, you know, you get the one time, and it'll go straight to your email or your cell phone if you sign up for that notice. So there's plenty of ways to find out that I don't have to send 80 letters every time.
No,
you
and
come
you
in.
shouldn't have to send 80. It kind of ballpark looks to me like maybe 20.
Well, our ordinance says 500 feet we're supposed to notify, so either you have to tell me specifically or that's how it works.
Yeah, well, 500 feet, 25 people. I mean,
Well, I know we were, Jeff.
he's got 47 years in, he's got 49.
I
I
will
got
send it to you if
38
you
years in
specifically
here.
request it, but just do it later because I got a
Right.
lot of other stuff going on right here. I'll forget.
You can sign up online too. I know
You
someone.
guys wanna do that, so that's- Call me tomorrow and remind me, and I'll make a list of people who need letters.
So this was,
Thank you.
Parks and Open Recreation Area.
Pardon?
This land, where you are map, was an open space recreation area, is that it?
That's,
No, it's been
That's
planned
really
for neighborhood
existing.
development for 30 years, I think. As long as we've had it.
That's what I pictured.
where's Kennedy Road?
That's right. Yeah. Well, right here it is.
Because in 2019, we had 70 people in this room.
Developed.
What do we got tonight?
Right, well, you
It's not
just
even
don't, you
close.
just don't know.
Because they don't care, because the majority of them were phase one.
Planning Commission, what's your pleasure? Yes.
Phrase my question.
Can you answer the questions on the RDUs or is that for later on or what? Is there a question on that?
Is there a question on the
How
RDU?
many you've got about it, right, or whatever? Well, is that on the table for now or is that for later?
That goes with the rezone because it takes
And that's what
an
we're doing
RDU to create a
We're doing the
residential lot.
rezone tonight, so that we need to know.
We need to know.
I need to know the answer on that. What are
Well,
we requiring?
Chris says that that's in the verbiage,
Yes,
and I don't agree with it.
I agree with you.
Because when we sat down and we talked about things we wanted to add to our comp plan, there were reasons why we added to the comp plan. This does not fit. I think that the split should have to be purchased. It just doesn't read everything that we had talked about in there.
So the recommendation from the planner was for him to buy 6 RDUs, correct?
Depends which email you get from me.
His most
On
recent,
The one right here.
his most
the
recent
one that I have.
email that came after his letter said that, if I can find it,
You
said
should
that he
need
agreed
2.
in policy, but he didn't want to give that away for the town. That's how he said it, something like that.
Yeah.
Originally, how many was it supposed to have with this whole spot?
So originally 6.
6 1/4.
6 1/4.
He would need 2 for the southern tax parcel and none for the northern.
How many would he need if he needed to have to buy it? So
He would need 6
He would need 6,
plus.
so a total of 8.
No, 6
total.
4 for the north.
4, okay.
6 total. 6 cents 8 is 48. Then you have to buy the
A couple.
residuals from somebody.
Okay.
So you needed a total of 6 for the whole 47-acre parcel. Oh, no, not the 47, because that
6.25
Yeah.
dwelling unit rights.
is what's on
So he
the
need
ticket.
first.
And because of the provisional thing of being within a quarter, we're supposed to say, no, he doesn't need any.
Needs 2.
No, he needs 2 for the northern tax parcels because it's
The southern.
it's
tax
broken
part.
by tax parcels, not
Parcels, not phases.
yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to confirm how many he's got to have. If any.
Depends on your interpretation of our plan then.
So what are we gonna do? Who's interpreting then?
You're gonna have to vote. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to vote it out.
Well,
It's
if you
either-
guys are gonna vote, let us throw in there's a lot of things to consider in life if you are not doing exactly what is written in your ordinances and policies. One of the things I think that is a credit to this project is the very expensive here for Kennedy and Buckley Ridge that RESOP already paid for. That's improved. It is much safer than most turnarounds, most turnoffs.
You're talking about the intersection.
The intersection of BB and Kennedy and the intersection of Buckley Ridge and BB. RESOP rebuilt those and paid for it. And that was in the 350 range, 350,000 range. And that made a major intersection in your community better.
Only for the fact that you've got the extra traffic coming off of the new subdivision.
Correct.
Right,
So
right.
Kennedy,
Yeah,
Buckley, and BB
Right.
You need,
were adequate.
So,
you need
you know,
to do
as much
these
as they
things,
were
David, in
prior-
order to make these developments work, right? So the whole thing about what you've done needed to be done. It's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
you may, but you didn't pay the 350,000. And
Because
I'm
I didn't
noting
develop it.
that as you guys are talking about the acquisition of the dwelling unit rights, those are purchased things, and I think that is.
Is somebody
something
gonna
to
make a
take into
motion?
effect.
So if we're making a motion, it's gonna be on to,
Rezone from AT 35 to SFR 8 to create approximately 50 lots, because that could change.
and to have the necessary splits in order to do so, depending on how you interpret it.
Well, if you're making the motion, you tell us how you interpreted it.
Well, I'm interpreting that those splits are required. That our verbiage in our plan was not intended to be used that way as a freebie. It was meant to prevent annexation. This has nothing.
It doesn't say that.
But that's.
It doesn't say that.
I understand, Chris.
So follow the language.
Chris, that's not what it said, but it's not what we agreed upon in the meeting. It's just not in there. I'm sorry, but that's my feeling on it.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent that the appropriate amount of splits be acquired prior to the beginning of, well, actually, he's got a.
Before you do a final
Right.
plan.
Correct.
They have to be acquired before the zoning is final.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at.
So you have to name how many.
No, I don't have
Yes,
to name how.
How's he gonna know?
Well, let's put it this way. Between now and tonight, I'm gonna suggest after my motion is that you contact our attorney and get a reading from him as to whether or not, because of the fact that you and I know, everybody in this room know, the law can also be, or ordinances can also be based upon intent. What a reasonable and prudent person would do. Now that perhaps that's got to be situated or mentioned by a judge. If it has to go that far, but what I'm saying is, it doesn't necessarily have to be black and white. And so that's why I'm saying the appropriate number.
Plus you should measure it,
Well, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, if it's
That
more than
might-
court
That's
line,
fine,
then
and
we're
to
talking
include-
about something that doesn't matter.
That might send us all, you might find out it's really too far and access Dane's measurements are not that accurate. I don't know.
And they're not. They say it right on their website.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the key is we're all,
Well,
We might be
thinking that-
talking about something that doesn't matter.
we can approve, we can motion and
Yeah.
vote for this thing, and if somebody wants to appeal it, somebody in the corner right there, and say we're incorrect, he can provide the math and the measurements to show how we're incorrect. And appeal it.
So what, appeal the vote tonight, or I'm sorry, appeal the motion tonight?
No, appeal it later.
Appeal it later?
Yeah. There's no proof to appeal it tonight.
Well, they could go the other way to it too. They could appeal saying that you need the splits and they can appeal it later.
Anybody can do that.
Right.
So. I'd go
So
with
is somebody making a motion? or-
Steve had a motion.
Steve's working on it.
Yeah, I was. Okay. Motion to approve the
Approximately 50 additional units.
correct
Yep.
50 lots.
And the
AT
necessity of
35 to SFR 8.
Yes, that was the first part I already did. Additionally, require the area to be surveyed to see if it falls under, is there a paragraph or whatever in our town plan that we're referencing is for figure 8, neighborhood development in the town's comprehensive plan.
Number 3.
Okay, figure 8, and then paragraph 3. And based upon the results of that survey,
The measurement.
correct. will determine the amount of splits required to start the project. That's the only way we could do it.
Build a number in there. I mean, myself, I'm not making a motion, but I'd want to see the number in there. If they want to appeal it, like Dave says, go ahead. But at least we're saying this is what we feel. They want to go back and measure it, saying, no, you've got verbiage in your plan that states that we don't have to do that many units.
I'm ambivalent either way. Is there a consensus as to 6 splits or 2 splits? Because if I say 6 and the rest of you guys say 2, or if I say 2 and the rest of you guys are thinking 6.
You know how I feel.
I say 2.
The intent has always been to get splits for it.
What's that?
The intent has always been to get splits for it.
Correct.
And the splits, this was started how many years ago? Back in 2018, 2019. That's where the intent.
That agreed intent was to get the splits for it.
So was it done? 22.
I'll say 6.2 splits. And that's it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Could
Motion
we
by
just have a
Anders,
moment of
second
discussion?
by Troy to approve the rezone of 47.6 acres from AT 35 to SFR 08 for approximately 50 lots, and that 6 RDUs are required?
Correct.
That
And also, the survey must be done to determine
require
whether
the
or not it
measurement?
falls under figure 8, paragraph 3 of our comprehensive plan.
Don't forget about what I call the children off on the split, that he needs 2, like from Denise.
Yeah, he's got leftovers from the first time around, though, I think.
No, somebody else does.
Vinny had
No.
some leftovers, I think, but he.
Oh, did you use all yours the last time?
Yeah, we had 16
lot
lots.
2 and use 16.
Okay.
Could,
Any discussion on the motion?
He's got a
could
question.
I bring up a question since we're having this?
No. We're done.
Would somebody on the commission?
David, we're done. There was a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Aye. Motion carried. Moving back to Brett Conwell, Capital
we-
Holdings LLC.
We have a little discussion.
For those of you, you should know that this
It'll be
rezone will
on
be
May
on the town
6th
board
for the
again
town
on May
board.
6th, yeah.
May
So
6th.
right now, we're telling you that, May 6th, this question, the same question that they were answering tonight, will have to go to the town board. And then after that, the next time we see them will probably be platting, the preliminary plat, which probably will be a bit because they gotta do engineering before they can. get to the analysis. Yeah, but let me know. and
All
I'll-
right, thank you.
Keep a mailing list.
Anyone here from Capital Underground?
I don't even see anything online. Go.
Do you want to act on it? Do you want to table it?
I'll second that.
Motion by Andrew to table for the next meeting? Sure. Second by Troy. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion carried. Motion by Troy to adjourn. Is there a second?
Who seconded? Oh.
Is there a second? Sure. Andrews is the second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned.